I'm excited because we have one of the most sought-after writer-producers in Hollywood joining us live in just a minute. He's behind a great cause, and he'll be joined by Paolo as well as we talk about mental illness and how it's being recognized and portrayed in society. And there's exciting developments happening in that area, and they join us now. Gentlemen, welcome to Get Connected.
It's great to be with you, Con.
Well, I know that the 2011 Voice Awards are tonight. How did it get started?
Well, the Voice Awards got started 6 years ago when SAMHSA, federal agency, partnered with writers and producers like Roger to try to make a difference in Hollywood and how we show mental health and addictions in TV and film. And that really started us there. I think at our first awards program, we just had a few nominations. This year we have over 200 nominations of TV and films that are doing outstanding work in mental health and addictions awareness and education.
You know, Roger, we know your work so well, from Law and Order, The Closer, Saving Grace. Where was it instilled in you to do things so right?
Well, you know, a large part of it has to do with having worked in the U.S. Senate. I'm a lawyer, and my first job out of after practicing law wasn't writing. It was being counsel to Senator Joe Lieberman. And then I moved on to John Kerry and then Paul Wellstone and Ted Kennedy jointly, where I was able to work on the Mental Health Parity Act, among other things. So having actually been in the trenches, having during one of the beautiful things about working in the Senate is you work with people like Paolo all the time. You're exposed to issues. You actually see the impact of legislation. You see the people who are suffering. And you can't just forget about it when you come to Hollywood and start writing. It actually, their voices become louder in your mind and their faces become more distinct.
Roger, that is certainly impressive, but what was it about mental health that made you so passionate about that issue?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things is that we have become, as a society, America has become thirsty for vengeance. And so much of our vengeance, you know, when we deal with issues like the death penalty or when we deal with issues like crime, so many people are clamoring for punishment. And it's very often punishment of people who just a few months before their heinous act were reaching out for help or wanted to reach out for help, but there was so much stigma around whatever their issue was that they felt that they couldn't. And then you've got people like Paolo sitting right next to me right now who actually has suffered severely from depression, but had the courage to go forward and say, I am a mental health consumer. And really have his whole life be about saying, you know, I've survived this, I've dealt with this, I don't have a stigma around it, and you know, I can be a father of three, and I can work for SAMHSA. And as a result, more people have followed his lead, and more people now are feeling less stigma around an issue that is dangerous not just to them but to others.
Right. And if I could just add to that, Con, that the whole message that people can recover from mental health and addictions, that recovery is possible. A person like myself, suicidal, some 10, 15 years ago, to now raising a family with 3 young children, owning my own house, working a job and contributing to communities, and that kind of hope for recovery is out there for everyone who suffer from mental health and addictions problems.
Paolo, we are so inspired by your story and your actions. What led you to go get help?
For my own personal story, it was 2 main things that really turned my life around. One was family and my family support. And if it wasn't for my mother and my siblings, I wouldn't be here today. And that carries through, to this very date, in that, my children, my wife, having that family support is so crucial. The second thing that really helped me was knowing that I wasn't alone. And so having a community of peers, of other people that I know that have mental health problems that I could relate to and go to support groups, and really knowing that I wasn't alone with the struggle made all the difference.
Paolo, if someone's out there suffering from a condition that sounds very similar to what you went through, what would you say to them?
I would encourage them to go to our website, which is www.samhsa.gov. That's SAMHSA.gov. And we have information there about local mental health and addiction services all across the country.
Well, that's great advice. And let's turn our attention tonight to the big award show. What's going to be presented, and tell us what's going to happen.
Well, we've got some of the TV and film shows that we'll be honoring include Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice. In fact, we're having lead actress Kate Walsh there with us tonight. Our guest host tonight will be Peter Krause, who is currently starring in the TV series Parenthood and was in 6 Feet Under. And we're also recognizing films such as The Fighter and The King's Speech. What's also really exciting is that we're recognizing community and consumer leaders as well as these TV and film productions. This year, those include Ron Barber, who's Representative Gabby Gifford's district director and also was a shooting victim from the tragic shootings this past January, as well as Tucson Mayor Bob Walkup and his wife Beth. All three of these individuals took that tragedy in Tucson and are now doing mental health education and awareness work around the country. And that's really what the Voice Awards is all about.
No doubt about it. Tonight sounds amazing. Congratulations to both of you for being such a big part of it. And Roger, in closing, given all your well-deserved success, what advice would you give to others living out their dreams?
Well, first and foremost, I really believe that you need to know what's in your heart. You need to know what it is you truly most want to do. And I genuinely believe that thanks to this great nation, you really can get there. You just have to figure out, okay, what is it that I want and what are the steps that are necessary to get me there? And let your desire push you in that direction and do those steps. At the end of the day, people say, like for example, they say, I want to write, and I say, well, where do you live? And if they don't tell me they live somewhere where they can actually do some writing and get something on a stage and get something, I say, maybe you got to think about taking that first step, because you're not going to, every journey begins with a step.
Great advice. Roger, Paulo, thank you so much for joining us and having such passion for the subject of mental illness.
Thank you.
Isn't it great to see award shows that really recognize people making a difference? Love it. The Voice Awards tonight. Tune in. We'll be right back with more Get Connected.